What is the difference between Lulu Exchange and Western Union, let's say?
Western Union as an MTO is the middle layer that allows us to connect to a larger level. Today, the Lulu Financial Holdings with its cross-border capability has everything that a Western Union has, or other players in the market has. But that didn't happen today. Even it didn't happen today for Western Union. It happened over a large amount of time where they worked to create that interface between everybody. The good thing for us is that we came in an era where technology was changing at a very fast pace, and if you are able to keep pace with that, you were able to do everything at half the time that other companies had done it. So thankfully we came in an era where the technology was fast evolving and gave us a base to really develop and accelerate our growth.
Mr. Adib Ahmed, the founder and the managing director of Lulu Financial Holding. Glad to have you here in Arabcast.
Thank you very much for having me here, and it's just lovely to be here on this lovely morning in Davos, and I think so it's bright, sunny, and I think so it's
cold.
It's great. It's cold, yeah, but cold is what we like,
But we will warm it up with the hot questions, right?
Absolutely. Looking forward.
What is your story? What is this Lulu Financial Holding?
See, the simple answer is that Lulu Financial Holdings is an organization that tries to make innovation its core and make cross-border payments seamless, more affordable, more interface to its customers. And the more complex answer is that we are a 16-year-old startup, still trying to understand the changing behavior of the consumer base. Not just in one geography, in all the 9 and 10 countries that we are today operating under. And every country behaves in a very different manner. So for us, it's very important that we understand the needs and necessities of our consumers, the changing regulatory landscape, and then keeping pace, because the consumer doesn't want to know what happens behind. What he really wants to know is that, is he going to get instant access to the service that he demands from us? And this we try to solve through innovation.
What made you think of this kind of business?
See, when we wanted to start this particular division for us, we understood the larger Lulu hypermarket group had a large customer base. And what we needed to synergize with them, they were doing excellent job in the retail side. And we thought, what synergize better than financial retailing? So we wanted to start from the bottom of the pyramid. We had the same customer base who wanted to shop at Lulu and also had a need to send the remittance back to their home country. As we know, 80 to 90% of the population of UAE constitute of expatriates who comes to make their lives and also their dreams comes true. Now for that, they have to, have a regular need of sending money back to their country. And it's a service that we thought that we must offer to them. And that's where the story began. But now we have moved a lot ahead of that. We have found out news and new venues that we really need to be present inside. And we have started to experiment on new technologies that is also coming to the next generation of consumers who is just waiting on the borderline.
I'm just impressed because you have started 16 years ago.
Yes.
And now your market share globally is 2%.
Yes.
How did you make it?
2024 stacks, world remittance stood at a little over 900 billion. At Lulu Financial Holdings, we moved 19.8 billion in our rails. That constitute to 2% of the global remittance volume. As we know that GCC and UAE constitute to be the second largest corridor of remittance around the world.
The second?
The second largest. The primary is the Latin American and the US continent.
Okay.
Well, I think so we remit... The GCC market remits a little over 56 billion US dollars worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's a large market itself, So UAE and Saudi is the two primary markets which constitute the largest chunk of remittance out of the GCC market.
Tell me about the toughest challenge you have ever been through in this business.
Is understanding the consumers. When we thought that we understood them, the goalpost seems to be moving a little ahead always. And I think so at first, we when we started in 2009, we said that we're going to challenge status quo. We're going to challenge everything that had happened behind us. And we really wanted to think, what could make the lives much more better. We started, our whole journey started on two thought process. It was the infrastructure and the interface. Now, the infrastructure was purely, we started with the brick and mortar. And today that infrastructure has moved into the digital side, where we communicate with our consumers through the Lulu Money app. And the interface side is where we started as an API first organization. And today we are connected to over 170 odd banks on a direct API rails. We also are connected on multiple levels with the infrastructure of core banks worldwide. We have a payment orchestration platform that sits out of Singapore, which also constitutes both on the retail and the B2B side. And all this gives us the ability to make sure that the finance, I was saying this to everybody, for us, it's a responsibility because we're moving a hard-earned money, a dream, or an aspiration of a consumer. And when they move it through our rails, they want instant access onto the beneficiary side as well. So in most of the markets, our TAT time, which is the time that takes to remit money and to receive money, is less than 5 minutes. And in certain markets, it's less than a minute.
I've heard about the stable coin. How do you use this in your business?
I think it's the future. In one way or the other, we strongly believe that, the new age of currencies are coming through. We are regulated in all the 9 to 10 countries that we are present inside. But so the regulations are also understanding the use case of the stable coins.
Regulations in UAE?
Regulation in UAE, regulations in other markets that we are operating inside. But I think so there's a real case study and a real use case on stable coin because it helps in reducing the time and the cost of cross-border payments.
How?
It's the ability to, remit money and store money. So for an example, if you take on a Friday, which is the last working day for us in the country, we need to pre-fund certain markets. And when you pre-fund, you got to pre-fund on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday. And why on a Monday? Because, by the time the US market opens, we are closed. So predominantly the cost of funding. So for us, a daily funding would constitute to somewhere between 30 to 50 million US dollars. So, you'll really have to fund $250 million on a weekend, on a Friday. Stablecoin, the ability for them to instantly view their balances on the account and move it even on a holiday allows us to keep the cost of fund at a check.
But stablecoin are legal in UAE?
Yes. So the regulations have been written. So we are not 100% on the rails because the regulations are coming through. The US, with the act that they have passed, they're believing because it's actually backed by US dollar. So once that happens, now UAE also moved one step ahead by working on creating a local AED coin. So the dirham-based coin is also there. I think Almeria Bank and Zand is the first two banks that has been allowed by the central bank to actually launch these coins. And now the interoperability between the dirham and the US dollars is coming through. And now we'll have to create a rails to do that as well.
Allow me to ask you a very simple technical question.
Sure.
How do you make your profit? I mean, there are small margins. I mean, the fees are very slight, small, and you have very high running cost.
Yes.
So how do you make it?
Well, you're asking the secret recipe for us.
Yes. What is the secret of this business?
Well, this is a very thin margin and a large volume business. So the cost of actual remittance hasn't actually moved. So if you look at the UN SG goals, it says that we need to keep the cost of remittance below 5%. And I think so the credit goes to the entire regulatory framework in UAE and rest of the GCC, where the cost of remittance in our side of the world is just below 4% or just hovering at 4%. So we've actually overachieved the UNSG goals. But in many developed markets like the West and US, the cost is over 6%. So I think so we've done a very fabulous job in making sure that the remittance cost is kept under check. But at the same point of time, our regulators have not compromised on the checks and balances. the need for a very established compliance framework has always been the demand. And I think so both the cross-border payment or the remittance players in this market has adhered to that and found out that when you don't have a very regulatory, strong compliance framework, you're putting the image of the country at risk. And that's not a very good thing to do, because it affects the business as well. So for us, we've been working very hands on hands. And the good thing about our side of the world, regulators are not just regulators. They are co-authors of how the tomorrow's business needs to be. They work with the private sector. They listen to the private sector. And they're always looking at saying that, how should we do this better? Is there a new way of doing this? And can we help you to do things better? So when you have somebody like that way sitting at a very strong regulatory framework, you're always interested on really upping your game.
Any plans to start your own bank in UAE?
Well, no, so we have not reached that level. And I strongly feel that, there is a great amount of good players who already are doing the banking work extremely well in UAE. So we thought that we will stick inside. I think so with new age regulations that have come out, we could do multiple aspects in a more technically friendly manner. Today the world's strongest banking network is done by a company that is not even a bank, Revolut. They have applied for banking license in certain market, but they just started as a wallet company, and they've been able to do that in such a wonderful manner that the consumers have been very happy, and they're growing. Today they have the last level of valuation stood at 75 billion. So, and they're not even a bank, and they're posing a great amount of threat to age-old traditional banks.
But what is happening in UAE? I mean, this sector is booming. They moved to UAE.
Yes, they're also opening up. So I think so. They see the potential. I think so. They all see the potential because being the second largest remittance corridor market in the world, they feel that there is a play that they can do. Their customer interface on a digital way is a very important aspect to this. And from a UAE perspective, if you look at the Vision 2031, they have put fintechs and digital adaptation as a heart of the strategy. And when you do that, they expect the players to be behaving in that manner, and they want the really established players to be also there in the market. And hence I feel that most of the people feel that there is still a gap to be addressed, and that's why they're entering the market.
What is the difference between Lulu Exchange and Western Union, let's say?
Western Union as an MTO is the middle layer that allows us to connect to a larger level. Today, the Lulu Financial Holdings with its cross-border capability has everything that a Western Union has, or other players in the market has. But that didn't happen today. Even it didn't happen today for Western Union. It happened over a large amount of time where they worked to create that interface between everybody. The good thing for us is that we came in an era where technology was changing at a very fast pace. And if you are able to keep pace with that, you are able to do everything at half the time that, other companies had done it. So, thankfully, we became in an era where the technology was fast evolving and gave us a base to really develop and accelerate our growth.
Where is AI from all of this image?
It's the most exciting thing for us. And I think so AI has huge case study. And, for us, what keeps us running for the next phase of our growth is going to be conversational payments or, using of agentic AI. And I think so the conversational AI is a really important thing. See, typing, this is fastly changing, with the use of Gemini as an element, other things, people just ask, the information that they want from a telephone. We believe that would happen in the financial sector as well. If you want to make a payment, if you really want to move money, if you want to buy something, if you want to choose to, find out information, it's a matter of conversation. So I think so we need to, elevate our capability on having conversational payments. Pick up your phone, open up the app and just say, I like to send my money to my mom. Do that today and just give me a confirmation. And, rest everything should be done by the AI, which is embedded into your app. I think so. That's the most exciting thing that we are working on. Inshallah, hopefully when the rest of the ecosystem seems to be on a right pattern, we will be having that launched.
What is your biggest concern?
The biggest concern is, are we overhyping the use of AI? Is a bigger concern that I have. Will the current infrastructure be able to do? And of course, with the coming of AI, one thing is for sure, there's going to be job losses. And but there's also going to be job elevation. A lot of jobs are going to get much better, but a lot of jobs are going to go. In that case, on a social level, how it will affect, we see that on a regular aspect. Companies that have adopted AI to a certain level or the other could now get things done with less number of workforces. And certain jobs, we have seen the ability to elevate them. So the efficiency of that job has really gone up by the use of different levels of AI tools. So I think so. What worries me is that how would the larger society come through in when AI comes in full swing? And I strongly believe that we have not even touched the tip of the iceberg on the use of AI.
What is the question that you have never been asked?
That's a tough thing, and everybody seems to have answered something or the other, So, I don't know. I have no idea on that.
Mr. Adeeb Ahmed, founder and managing director of Lولو Financial Holding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Glad to have you here.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.